Hunting the Shadows. Greetings, good people. Hello, my friends. Come on in. It's time for another episode of Hunting the Shadows. The shadows are gathering close together here in the grotto tonight. So definitely we're going to have an interesting show. Defense against black magic and the dark arts. Let me put my readers on here so we can see what we've got going on comment-wise here. And I'm going to greet everyone. Hello, Maggie and Midwest Night Watchers. Good to have you here, Shiro. Thank you. And Patriotic Yank, Scotty B. And we've got Aussie Sue, of course. Good to have you here. Gemini Moon. And let's see. We've got some more coming up here. Let's see. Richard. Hello, Richard. And we're getting them in here, definitely. We're getting them we're getting everything loaded up here. We're getting ready for an interesting show tonight. Well, I hope everyone had a good and safe Halloween. And I'm glad we were able to spend a little part of it together, having some stories and a little poems and just a general talk. It was very good. And we definitely we couldn't let that night go by without doing a little something to commemorate it. Definitely, without a doubt. And I'm going to pull up something here. I want to read you a little something to start off with here. And let me get this thing to cooperate with me. That's something I found a little fascinating. I was going to share it with you. It's just a small thing here. It says that it may be that there's a distinct possibility that the Celtic festival of Samhain stemmed from ancient Greek customs. In turn, this would then mean that the roots of Halloween may also be from ancient Greece. Indeed, there was an ancient Greek festival that was quite similar to Halloween and its Celtic predecessor, Samhain. This festival was known as Anthesteria. Okay. It was a celebration that occurred in winter, usually towards the end of January or the beginning of February. Anthesteria was dedicated to the god Dionysius. It lasted for 3 days. During this time, the Greeks believed that the connection to the underworld was at its strongest. Spirits of the dead roamed the earth and even entered people's homes. The festival also involved feasting, dressing up, and decorating one's house. In many ways, this ancient Greek festival was just like modern-day Halloween. Isn't that fascinating, huh? It goes that far back. It goes back thousands of years. Definitely. And by the way, the Greek god Dionysius is actually Dennis in English. Okay, that's me. I'm named after Dionysius, the Greek god. He was the party god, by the way, folks. He was wine, women, and song. Definitely, that was what he was all about. And he had some wild parties. So out here, okay. But anyway, we're gonna let Halloween rest for another year. I'm gonna have heart, and we're gonna have a heart, and we're gonna let Halloween rest again until the wheel turns around once more on that. But tonight we're gonna turn to darker subjects, definitely. Let me see what we got. Some new comments coming up here. Hello, Philip. Good to have you here. Millie D. Laprida, welcome. I hope I couldn't pronounce that right. And yeah, we're going to get into some interesting things tonight, without a doubt. Black magic is a definitely dark subject. Okay, and I've had some run-ins with it in my time. A few incidents, definitely. And I have studied the black arts, not as a participant in them, of course, but as a scholar as the black arts and what they entail. And we're not going to get that deep into the more, shall we say, truly evil side of it in that way. I'm not going to get into the details that will actually turn your stomach and give you nightmares, that kind of stuff. No, I'm not going to get that deep into it, but we're going to talk about a lot of the ramifications of this stuff and how it plays out in our modern world. And I said this last week, by the way. There is a lot more black magic in this world right now, today, in modern society than there has, I don't think, ever been in the history of mankind, definitely. Oh, one more thing about Halloween. I do want to give a shout out to those three boys. I give them the Halloween Costume Award of the year. The three boys, two of them dressed as Secret Service agents, the third is Biden, and he went following around everywhere, and they were picking him up all the time. And I think that was great. They did an excellent job on that. I got to give them an award for that one, definitely. But I'm not going to get into that. We're not talking politics tonight. Hello, Crystal. Good to have you here. Anyway, I thought that was a neat little costume, though. Definitely, they had it down pat. Yeah, black magic and the dark arts, defense against it. That's what we want to concentrate more on, just what it actually is. And we wanted to talk more about defense against it, to keep it away from you, definitely. We will encounter in our lifetimes, sooner or later, and maybe more than once, I have, definitely, people who are deep into black magic and these dark arts. The very connotation of black magic means magic that is evil. Of course, the color black always stands for evil, and or darkness, and I guess that's a good reason why, because it is black, the color black. But you will encounter people who engage in this, and most of the time, these people keep this kind of stuff a secret. That's the power of some of this stuff, is the secrecy of it. Okay, don't lose sight of that. And we've talked about this inside of governments and other places, and why the government has contacted people in demonology like myself and other people wanting to know about demonology. There's a reason why. They realize that they are either hooking up with the demonic, or the demonic is unduly influencing them in certain ways, or has infiltrated, without a doubt, the governments of this world. No problem, no doubt about that at all. And when you talk about black magic, what is it plugged into? What is it hooked up to? Diabolical forces. Okay, the demonic, definitely, without a doubt, or whatever name you want to give it. Evil, darkness, evil forces, whatever name you want to give it, that's what it is. I mean, that's what it basically is, a diabolical force in this world, in our society, in our lives, whether we realize it sometimes or not. Okay, and any of us have the capacity to fall victim to this black magic if we're not careful. Okay, and we've got to realize what we're seeing, and there may be people you can go to, hopefully like me or some other people, if you feel like you are being victimized by this, or that a curse or a spell or hex of some sort has been laid against you. You need to seek help. Don't keep going on with it, because it will, like a cancer, like a disease, it will get worse and worse in your life, okay? And it can very badly very detrimentally affect you physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And physically, by I mean taking your life. These things can do that. And let me say something right quick. A lot of times when somebody puts a spell, curse, a hex on you, whatever witch does it, whatever evil, dark, black witch, whatever name you want to give her, witch doctor, whatever, a Bokor, whatever, Aloha, or whatever the case may be, they will let you know they've done that to you. Okay, like I told you, and I won't get into the story tonight. I'll leave that story for some time, some other night. But I had a black warlock actually say he was going to curse me to death. Okay, he was going to put a death curse on me, which I have no doubt about he probably did. But he let me know he was going to do that. Okay, now listen to this very close, folks. It was a psychological little thing here, okay, trying to get me worried, get me upset, thinking, oh no, I'm going to die, kind of a thing. But that's part of the power, that power of suggestion, okay? And we can't lose sight of that, definitely, okay? We've got to remember that very closely. If they tell you, then they are not real. Definitely, sometimes they won't tell you, Anthony. Definitely, sometimes they won't tell you. Then the ones you really got to watch out for. But they're playing a little mind game with you when they do that. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot psychological thing. Now, as a parapsychologist, I have studied over the years the effects that these things have on the human mind and the human spirit per se. And when you and being a doctor of metaphysics, I'm very interested in the human spiritual equation and a lot of this stuff. Okay, and okay, let's say Anthony has a question. What do you do when a spirit doesn't respond to the light and you have to work with the dark to remove it? No, you don't want to work with the dark to remove it because the dark is not going to actually let you do that. Okay, you cannot, and I've said this before, Anthony, you cannot undo evil with evil. Okay, just don't work that way. Okay, that's the one thing about the character Constantine. It's a good movie, but you really don't. In real life, a real demonologist does not use evil to get rid of evil. It's not that work. You're banging your head against the wall. You're going down a dead end road. You have to use light and goodness. And if that light's not working for you, it's not the fault of the light. It's your fault. Okay, you're not doing something right, or you're not where you need to be with your faith. Because, and I'll say this at the outset of tonight's show, the number one weapon against this darkness is faith in your Creator. Okay, I mean real faith, not faith that you speak with your mouth, or not that you hope it's going to work out. I'm talking about real faith here. Okay. And that's what it takes to combat these forces. The light, God does not fail. Okay? God does not fail. We fail, but God never fails. Okay? Don't ever forget that. That's what you got to base your faith on. Hey, Sweet Pea, good to have you. Then during the following conversation, she made clear she feels justified doing spells on her enemies. No. There's nothing justifies that because you are wishing harm and pain and depression and darkness on someone. That's not good. You're not a good actor when you do that, okay? You're on the side of darkness and evil. And that's why I say you cannot combat darkness and evil if you're on the side of darkness and evil, or if you're using darkness. You can't. It just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, but it's not going to work. You may think you're getting somewhere, but you're being fooled, okay? You're being deceived because, as Jesus plainly said in the Bible, the devil does not cast out the devil. The devil is not going to work against his own self. Okay, he's smarter than that. Don't fall into that trap because it is a deception, without doubt. She puts that mind worm in people's heads. Definitely, Sweet Pea. That's the psychological part of it. Okay, and what I've told you before, these diabolical forces will attack you in 4 main categories. I keep saying this over and over, but I'm trying to hammer this into people's heads, okay? They attack you physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. What is tied to your intellect? Your spirit is tied to your intellect, your mind. Your emotions are tied to your intellect, and your physical part is tied to your intellect. Okay, they all work off of each other. And if I can put that, and I call them evil seeds. Okay, and I'm going to talk about evil seeds here in a minute. If they can plant that evil seed in your mind, in your life, in your lifestyle, whatever, wherever they want to plant it, okay, that's where it starts to grow and begins this dark and deceitful and evil work. Okay, and we're going to talk about that very shortly. That's a very thing, a very interesting part of this. Okay, hey, Ann, glad to have you here. So when it comes to this, that's the little mind games they play with you, because that tends to depress your spirit. It's a spiritual attack, okay? And that's all a spell, a hex, a curse really basically is. A spiritual attack against you, okay? You got to remember that. It's just like a demonic attack. In that way, well, it is instigated by the demonic. It is a diabolical attack against you. Okay, you got to remember that. And that's why I tell people a lot of times, I've had a lot of people come to me who are suffering from curses. Hey, Juno, a lot of people suffering from curses have come to me and say, well, what can I do? What can I do? The only thing that will release you or break that curse is a true act of faith on your part, not my part, your part. Because who is this against? You, not me. Okay, that's the way that works. You got to remember that. It's very important. You know, even God has to let us fight our own battles sometimes, although He's there to back us up. Don't think without that. He's not going to desert us. He's there to back us up if we will let Him and proactively hook into that with our true faith. Okay, we got to remember that very closely. So anyway, when they plant these dark, evil seeds in you, in your mind, and in your life, and it can come in through your life and through a person or situation or an addiction, whatever the case may be, when these evil seeds are planted and they begin to grow, the roots of these things wrap themselves around your very soul. Okay, folks? You got to realize that, how dangerous and evil this stuff really is. It wraps its roots around your soul and squeezes the very life out of your soul. Okay, it really gets your soul that way. You hear a lot of people talk about selling your soul, and of course you can voluntarily turn yourself over to the darkness and throw your lot in with them and say, that's from now on, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. You can do that. Okay. And of course, like the witches of old, supposedly you can sign a blood contract with a devil's kiss too. Also, I don't know. I'm going to explain to you what a devil's kiss is. If you're not familiar with that, I'm not going to get too deep into what the devil's kiss is. But once you sign the contract, you're supposed to kiss the devil. And let me say this: you didn't kiss him on the cheek or in the mouth or between the horns. He doesn't have any horns, by the way, folks. He had to bend over to show you a certain part of his anatomy for you to kiss. That's what you did, okay? That's a devil's kiss. I'm not going to get into this nasty stuff, but anyway, once you sign the contract, that was it. You're supposedly doomed. But there are other ways that you can lose your soul too, okay? Not just giving it away or selling it, as the case may be, or whatever the situation. There are other ways to lose your soul. You've got to be very, very careful with that, okay? And one way to lose your soul is for these dark, evil roots to wrap around it and just squeeze it until you have no hope left in your life and for your spirit. Okay, and that's why I say a curse, and I've said this to a lot of people who have come to me with curses, hexes, spells. The very first actual paranormal case I ever had to do with a witch's spell, a curse on someone, okay? So anyway, the best way to break these, of course, is through an act of faith. But a curse, you got to think of it this way, is an ongoing spiritual attack. That's what it basically is, okay? And when they plant these evil seeds in your life or in your mind or whatever the situation is, they know what they're doing. They're setting you up, okay, for a fall. That's what they're doing. And you got to remember that. That's what this is all about. But there comes a point, and I tell people, put the brakes on and hold on. Let me tell you something right now. Okay, you cannot give up hope. As long as there is breath in your body, you have hope, Okay, don't ever forget that. And you have a choice in all of this. Okay, your Almighty Creator has given you a choice, and that choice is, hey, I don't have to put up with this. I don't have to take this off of these guys. Okay? I don't have to take this kind of junk from somebody. I'm not going to take it. And what did I say before about dealing with diabolical forces? You must take authority over them. God has given you authority over devils to cast them out. Don't think he is not giving you authority over spells and curses and hexes and black magic and the dark arts. Definitely, without doubt. What did he say? In words out of his own mouth, he said, I give you power over all the power of the enemy. Not just one little thing here and there, over all the power of the enemy. And that's what you got to look at here when you're dealing with black magic and the dark arts. You have that power, folks. God's give it to you. Listen, I'm going to tell you what, and I said this before, and I'm not going to get into politics, okay? But I took an oath long ago to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America with my life against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I still hold that promise as a God-given promise that I gave to God, okay? God has given you certain things. No government, no president, no people, no king, no queen, nobody but God has given you rights in your life. The right to live your life in the pursuit of happiness. We laid it out in the Declaration. Read it. It's very plain language. You have that God-given right to live your life free of fear, curses, hexes, whatever the situation is. You have that right. Exercise it. Don't let it go to waste, you know. If I stop using the muscle in this arm, never use it again, it will atrophy and will be no more use to me. Might as well take it off. If you don't exercise your rights, that's what's going to happen to them, okay? And one of the rights you have under the Lamb of God is the right to cast out devils and their works. Okay, because they're one and the same, folks. Okay, that's the way they work. You can't divorce them one from the other. The devils and their works. You have that right. Okay, that's the true defense against this dark art. Now I can tell you other things, you know, like I said before, you can wear iron, you can have a cross, you know, that's okay. I'm not condemning that. If that helps you, it's for the good, go with it. But you can't put your faith in that. That's not where your faith needs to lie. Okay? But that is the number one thing against this darkness. And here's one more thing I want to say about that. Okay? I'll get deep into that, but listen very close. You need to exercise your authority on all of this kind of stuff. If somebody comes against you, if something, whatever the situation, if you're kind of slowly becoming addicted to something or whatever the situation may be, you need to take authority right then and there over that, because God has given you that authority. Not in a bad way, but in a good way to protect you. But that authority is based on His authority. It is hooked in to God's authority. Okay, you got to remember that. That's the very important part about it. Okay. All right. See, Duke, good to have you here. Check out some of this. If you got any questions at any time during the show tonight, feel free to ask away, okay? Or any observations, and there's and see it on the ticker there is my email. If you don't want to do it in public, you can certainly contact me in private. And remember that I've exercised complete privacy or anything like that. Okay, I never ever give out any information with any kind of a problem that people have or any kind of a consultation or whatever. Your word is just as good with me as it would be a doctor or a lawyer. Okay, so look, don't forget that. But if you have anything you need to ask in private, you do that too. Don't hesitate, because you need to know these things, definitely. Now, violin makes me cry. Okay, I'm glad you are getting something out of this because that's what we're doing this for. We want the truth out there, not the lies, not the misconceptions, not the deceptions of the demonic, but we want the truth. Well, the truth will set you free. Okay, but your Savior paid a price so that you could have this authority. Okay, folks. He took authority over hell and death. He has the keys of hell and death. Okay, he took authority, and now he has given you that authority. That's one of the greatest gifts that Jesus Christ gave to us, not just his life. Okay, but that was more than enough, definitely. Not just his welfare and that, but his authority is passed onwards to us, and we need to exercise that. We need to recognize that. We need to use it. Okay, and if you don't use it, whose fault is it? It's not God. Don't blame him. Don't blame Jesus. Don't blame me. Because I told you, blame yourself. Because it's up to you. The fight is up to you. What did I say last night? I think it was last night on one of these shows. I said very recently, you are the first line of your defense. Don't forget that, okay? You know, I used to ask that at lectures when I would do a lecture. It's a little trick question. I say, somebody breaks into your house tonight. What's the first thing you're going to do? Now, I wait if some people say, oh, I'll get my gun or something, you know. Some people must say, oh, I'm going to call the police. No. Do that later, okay? Don't do that now. That might cost you your life. You are the first line of defense. Don't depend on the cops. No matter how much they want to get there, they're not going to make it. They're not Superman, okay? Don't waste your life on that. You. It's up to you. It's your job. It's your responsibility. You are the first line of defense here, okay? I must get that point across to you, or none of this is going to help you, okay? Thank you, JoJo. I try to do what I can for people, definitely. That's what I'm here for. But let me say this. The thing about this black magic, and like I said earlier, I can tell you to wear red. You can wear red. That wards off. Supposedly wards off. You can wear the crosses. You can have salt in your pocket. You can carry a prayer cloth. I carry one all the time with me. Okay, prayer cloths are very powerful. They're biblically based stuff. Okay, I would suggest you get yourself a prayer cloth. Definitely keep it on you at all times. I don't go anywhere without mine. Okay. I especially started carrying one when I was in law enforcement. It's a good thing to have. It's been prayed over in the prayers of saints. Gets the job done, okay? Without a doubt. But there are certain things you can do, but I'm not going to dwell on that tonight because the number one arrow in your quiver is this faith in this authority, okay? That's the number one arrow you need to put in your bow against the darkness, the black magic, and the dark arts. The dark arts, by the way, are basically learning how to harm people, destroy their lives by putting spells and curses and hexes on them, or even other things that they can do. And I won't get into that tonight because I don't want to give you people out there listening ideas. But there are other ways you can really make a person's life a living hell. And that's what a lot of the dark arts are geared toward, harming not only people, but nature as well. They can call up storms. They can do all kinds of stuff with this stuff. I've seen it happen. I mean, it works. I know it works because it's a diabolical force. I've seen diabolical forces work, and they can kill you. I know a lot of people right now tonight. I can't stress this enough. Okay, listen very closely to what I'm about to say. I'm not joking about this. Okay, I know people 6 foot under tonight put there by these diabolical forces. This is nothing to play around with. Okay, this is serious stuff, folks. I can't stress that enough. Because I'm not trying to spook you. I want you to have faith. I want you to be strong in your faith and with a sound mind to back it up. That's what it takes. But I want you to realize the power of the enemy that you're coming up against. Don't underestimate him. Okay? Do not underestimate these forces. That's a dangerous situation to get in. But you have the authority that overwhelmingly takes this stuff out. Okay? that will overwhelmingly defeat the enemy. You just got to remember that. That's what this authority is all about. That's right, Crystal. Always keep a prayer hall definitely close at hand. It's a very good thing. You know, I've actually gone into houses with very bad demonic infestations. I meant to say, and I would always go to the center of the house. I would take a thumbtack or a push pin. Push pins is what I usually use, and take a prayer cloth and stick it up there. And I would tell people, whatever you do, as long as you remain in this house, do not remove that. Leave it there. Okay. That symbolizes the power of Almighty God. That are the prayers that have gone to Him. And let me say one thing: your Creator, when it is prayed earnestly with a good heart, with the blood of Jesus upon you, without a doubt, He hears those prayers. And those prayers, what does God say about those prayers? They are precious to Him. Okay? He loves them. They're the dearest thing to His heart, are your prayers. He does not disregard them, people. You know, but I have a lot of people that come up and say, well, you know, God sure is taking His time with my prayer. Maybe it's not God's fault. Maybe you didn't pray for the right thing. That's a possibility. Or possibly, too, it's not His will at that moment in time. Or He may be doing some other stuff in the background that you don't know about, okay? Don't try to second guess God, okay? Don't do it because it's a failed operation, all right? Definitely, without doubt. Take your time. And that is a good test of your faith sometimes. I'm sorry to say, sometimes our faith needs to be tested. Why? Because what I said earlier, it exercises, that it makes it stronger, you know, when that faith is tested. I've had my faith tested many times. Anybody will. And sometimes you fail. We're only human beings, okay? You got to remember that, you know. Even the angels in heaven can only do their best, okay? That's all God ever requires from us, folks, our best. Not our maybe wannabes or maybe what we say with our mouth and not mean it with our heart. You know, God says you praise me with your mouth but not with your heart. God knows your heart, okay? You can't hide that. Don't try to hide it because you can't hide it from God. He knows, without a doubt, where your heart is. But anyway, I'm gonna clear out here in a minute unless you start doing some feedback with me, okay? The things are real hot tonight, so we definitely want to answer your questions on this. But this is what you need to do. This is now, and we're going to do a part 2 on this pretty soon, okay? Part 2 on defense against the dark arts and black magic, okay? Because like I say, it's very prevalent in this world today. You may meet people that are doing it, and like I said, their power is their secrecy. You may not even know that they're a so-called witch, and I've met a lot of witches, and some of them are really good-hearted people in one way, but they are deceived by other things, okay? And I'm not going to get into that tonight. Some people maybe want to do good, but you're just trying to go about the wrong way. There is a right way and a wrong way about everything. And people in this world today are concerned too much with painting everything with shades of gray, when it basically truly is spiritually black and white, okay? Don't forget that. We've got to remember that as well. Can I speak on the prayer cloth? Well, the prayer cloth basically is what, you know, Paul, I think in Peter 2 in the Bible, did this very same thing. They would take a piece of cloth and they would pray over it. They would touch it, anoint the cloth, pray on it, because usually the person that they were praying for wasn't there to be touched, okay? Or, you know, the Bible commands us to lay hands on people and pray for them, okay? That's part of the thing, actually. But if you can't do that physically, that's where the prayer cloth comes in. But the prayer cloth is also a symbol of God's power, of faith, you know, because people are actually touching this and praying over it. They're asking God to bless this cloth and whoever it touches or whoever it is with or wherever it's at, as the case may be. And that's what a prayer cloth basically is, Sweet Pea, on that, okay? And you can get most any evangelical church will definitely tell them if you want a prayer cloth, they will give you one. It's just a little small square of white cloth usually. It's been anointed and prayed on over. Okay, and you can ask for that. It is a very powerful thing to have because it is an act of faith when you pray and touch that cloth. Okay, when you pray, earnestly pray, and I mean really pray in the spirit. When you pray, asking God in the spirit for something, God answers you in the spirit too. By the way, because God is a spirit, we must worship Him that way. Okay, you got to remember that. That was one of the things Jesus taught us to do. Then it says, holy water and anointing oil, simply water has been prayed over by believers. It is that in case, but now there are some ingredients in it. It can be now. I have here. Let me go over this right quick because I get a lot of questions about holy water. Okay, I have holy water right here, and this is holy oil right here. Okay. Now let me say something about the holy water. And I've had people that say, "Can I drink it?" No, no, do not drink holy water. That's not no, it's not really good for consumption. No, 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 that it is for placing on you. But it has is its ingredients. It has a little salt in it. It has some of that holy oil in it. It has it may have some other things too, but it is water that's prayed over very much like the prayer cloth. Okay, it's just in liquid form. You got to remember that. Okay, and also this the oil is very instrumental when you pray for someone. You anoint them with oil. They did that in the temple. The temple, that's been done ever since men have worshiped God. They have used anointing oil. It's very important. It's usually an olive oil, extra virgin olive oil that has been blessed. That's what the water and the oil, the salt, and all this stuff, the crosses that you can have them blessed that you want to wear. That's like a prayer cloth, okay? So that's just the way to look at it, okay? These are things we're asking God to bless with His power and His covenant with us spiritually, okay? Definitely. Can a person be possessed from reading satanic books like the Necronomicon type book? Absolutely. I warn people against that, Gary. Be very careful what you put in your mind. What did I just talk about? Those evil seeds that they can plant here. It's not only witches and warlocks planting these evil seeds. It can be video games. It can be certain evil movies. It can be books, evil books. There are good books. The Bible is a good book. There are other good books too in the world, but there are evil books out there too, just like everything else. Look at this hammer. I can help you build a house with it, but I can also commit murder with it. I can kill you. A lot of people have been killed with hammer strokes, by the way, okay? It's what you intend to do with it, the intentions behind whatever it is, You can open a letter with a letter opener, or you can stab someone with it and kill them. That's what all this stuff's about, okay? It's the evil intentions behind things, like these spells and curses and this black magic and the dark arts and all this stuff. My sister and I crochet blankets and prayed over them. When we can't be together, we hold at the point of contact and pray for each other. That is a good idea, Ann. Very good, yes. Do you think that God doesn't like that? God wants that. The devil, on the other hand, evil does not like that. And if evil doesn't like it, then we need to like it. Okay? Very interesting point. I carry anointing oil, but I've never carried holy water or prayer cloth. Well, you can do either one, Scott. That depends on what you feel like you need to do. Definitely what helps with the extension of your faith, okay, on this thing, okay? Whatever you feel led to do on that situation, definitely. You are doing what's right by carrying that, definitely. That's so special. I see. Okay. Let me put that up in case people didn't get a chance to read that. Okay. I wish StreamYard would let you hit a button and this could just roll slowly while I'm talking and people can see all these comments. Okay, but anyway. I never read a demonic book, never planned to, Patriotic Yankee. That well, that's a good point, definitely. Now, I haven't gotten into demonology in that respect. I don't go around reading on the Grimoires because I know, but that's why I tell people about the Grimoires. Don't mess with them because mainly they're concerned. This is the old medieval demonology. It's concerned mainly with talking to and getting control and calling up demons. You don't want to get into that, okay? That's some bad necromancy and black magic and dark arts. You don't want to definitely get into it. But the demonology I talk about is the modern day demonology where we try to study what these diabolical forces interact with us, okay? That's part of the metaphysical outlook on this universe. These forces are there, and if we ignore them, it's like kind of like ignoring a 500-pound gorilla in the room. Sooner or later, that gorilla is going to grab you and tear you limb from limb, and whether you ignore him or not, you better get out of the room with him, okay? These forces are there, and we cannot discount them, and we need to handle them the right way. I've dedicated my life to understanding that. You handle these things the correct way, okay? You must remember that. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything in this world. You know what Davy Crockett used to say? I was born on his birthday, by the way. Davy Crockett had a good saying I always loved. Okay, this is what he said. First, make sure you're right. Make sure you're in the right. Then go ahead. And that's what you want to do with these things. Make sure that you are 100% sure, as the Bible says, to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. What does that mean? You better get it right the first time. You better know that you're in the right, okay? And that's what it takes to deal with these diabolical forces. Okay, let's see. Back in the 50s in Canton, we were told we can bless our own daughter. We don't have to go to her. You can do that. As what I said, Savage Grammy, it is a matter, an act of faith, okay? Go back to the Bible and see what it says about faith. Study the thing about faith. Faith is dead without works, and an act of faith is a work of faith, okay? Don't forget that. It's very important. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Overbuilt, good to have you here. I've never watched scary movies or read scary books. Really scary, reality is scary. Now, definitely in today's world, it's a lot scarier than that. But that's what I said about now being a fan of some of the old horror movies and stuff. I like that, but I don't get into these slasher torture. They're very diabolical. And like I said, you go watch these movies, you feel like you gotta go home and take a shower. I mean, you feel like, but I mean, they're diabolical in their output, and they hurt your spirit. They go against your spirit. You feel that sometimes. You better pay attention to it because somebody's trying to tell you something. Definitely. What we got here? What you put into your mind, folks. Okay, let me say this. Listen to me very closely. If you do not eat anything but trash all the time, some of the worst foods possible, constantly put it in, what do you expect the effect is going to be upon your body? Same thing spiritually and mentally. The more trash you put in up here, we used to have an old saying, trash in, trash out. It don't come out no better as it still comes out trash, okay? And I'm not only talking about the trash that makes out like they're real talented people in Hollywood nowadays. That's trash too, but trash in, trash out. What do you think trash is going to do? Okay, let's go. Are you talking about the evil at personal level, or are you also talking about the evil engulfing the world? Both. Violin makes me cry. Both of these are very related. They are one and the same. We are in this world. We are in this universe. No matter what we say, the Bible teaches that. It says, come out of the world. Don't come to the worldly things it's talking about. This world system, is what is corrupted, infected with sin and the demonic. Okay, without a doubt. That's why I'm doing these shows, a lot of these shows, to teach you to understand that's what you're dealing with on a day by day, hour, minute by minute. I would have to say a format here. Okay, definitely. Yeah, David did have that right, Patreon. Definitely. He was a smart guy. And can you talk about the spiritual benefits of fasting? Okay, fasting is another act of faith. Okay? Fasting is where you say, I'm distancing myself today from the world itself, from my need of the world, and relying upon God spiritually. So you're putting the food away. Some people do water, but it's not a good idea to go too long for that. But some people fast for this very purpose. Is an act of faith, saying, I trust God. God's going to get me through this. I'm going to rely 100% on Him. And that's what this is all about. That's what fasting is all about. It is a spiritual act of faith. Okay. When I was growing up, Crystal said, and something bad came on TV, maybe like a horror movie, I've had someone say things could come out of the TV. What do you think? It's a possibility spirits can work that way because I'll tell you this, the diabolical spirits often work upon our eyes. Okay. The eyes truly are the windows of the soul. Okay. So as a burglar at night, if I can't come through your door, and it's much harder to come through a door, by the way. I've seen many break-ins. It's a whole lot easier to come through the windows, folks. Don't forget that. The eyes are the windows of the soul. It's a lot easier to get in through those windows. All the junk food we're eating basically potato chip trash. That's right, Patreon. I'm guilty of that sometimes myself too. I think it becomes a habit, more or less. You sit down, you think you got to have something while you're watching TV, or you want something, you got to have something to eat. I think it becomes a habit, and definitely, but it's a very detrimental. The Bible tells us our body is a temple. Unfortunately, some of us don't respect it very much as that. Let's see what we got. Charles was an excellent author of urban myths. So yeah, I have read some of his stuff. Definitely, Sweet Pea. Urban myths are very fascinating. We're gonna do a show on those one night, definitely, on urban myths. But we're winding up here, but this black magic is in our lives, whether we know it or not, and it is hidden subtly behind a lot of things in our world today that you see on TV, that you see in movies, that you see in the media and in the books, like he mentioned earlier. It's in every type of media. There is a black magic persona hidden behind that. And one of the big deceptive lies is, oh, there's good and there's bad magic. Okay? All magic takes you away from the true power and faith of God. It stands between you and God. That's a bad thing. Okay? Nothing. God says, I have no gods before me, nothing before me, between you and me. If anything comes between you and your creator, it is a bad thing. There should be nothing there in that relationship. Okay? Not your husband, not your wife, not your kids, not your grandkids, not your dog, not your cat. Nothing between you and your creator in that relationship. When you get to that point, folks, you're hooked, you're plugged in to the right power. Okay? Don't forget that. If I don't have butter, potato chips, it's extra butter on the popcorn. I hate popcorn, it gets in your teeth. It's good though, but I hate it. Anyway, it's been an interesting hour here. Definitely, we're coming up on it, and definitely, I want you to think about some of these things we talked about tonight, because the black magic is hidden, and it has an influence. Okay, and it can be, and it's done in a lot, especially on television. You're seeing that, and if you look for it, you'll find it, because it is hidden there. But you've got to look for it sometimes. Don't become obsessed with it, but you can see it. It's obvious sometimes. Look at some of these, a lot of these acts and dance acts that you see on TV and all that. They're geared toward the diabolical. They're geared toward the black magic kind of stuff. A lot of this stuff is going on. And definitely, you gotta be very careful nowadays, because look at something over. Don't take nothing at face value, folks. In the world we live today, that's not a good idea to take anything at face value, without a doubt. Now, I had a lot of people criticize me. Say, well, you got a lot of cult objects here and all that, but I do not use them. I do not have them here to teach you how to use them. I use them as educational tools to show you what they are and how they are done. But I do not teach you how to use them. I do not want you to use them because this is the wrong way to go. But this is what people use, like Ouija boards and all this other stuff. And I think the top demonologist came out just yesterday and said one of the worst things you could ever put your hands on is a Ouija board. He's the top demonologist, folks. You might want to listen to him. Definitely. Yes, Jojo, you got to be mindful of the company you keep, okay? And that can be another one of those evil seeds that can be planted in your life. They can be people in your life that are fostering these evil weeds that try to grow in our lives. We have to be very careful. It's not just situations or addictions or movies. It can be people, it can be certain situations, it can be a job. You know, if your job is taking a spiritual toll on you, maybe you need to find something else. You know, your spirit is very important. Your well-being is very important. Above all else, our Heavenly Father wants us to be good and happy and to have the things that we need that are good for us. He wants us to have all things that are helpful and good to us, not the bad things, just like any father or mother would want for their children. You know, you don't let your children play out in traffic in the highway. No, that's stupid. You wouldn't be much of a parent, now would you? No, you'd be more like a murderer because they're going to get killed by doing stuff like that. You don't want your children to be exposed to that. God is even more so than that with us, okay? And if you trust him and do what he says, he said, I will open the windows of heaven for you, that you will not be able to contain the blessing I want to give you. But we keep him, we prevent him from doing that by the very things we do in our lives and by not having enough faith and trust in him, definitely. And I've had a lot of people ask me, Dennis, what is faith? I'm going to tell you the best illustration of faith. And Jesus said, to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must be like a child. A child without question, without worry, without doubt, depends upon their parent most of the time, if you have good parents, to feed you, clothe you, give you a place to live, a roof over your head, to guide you through life, to help you. You don't question that. You know it's there. And that's faith, my friends. That's faith. Okay, let's see what else we got in. Thank you all for the good words. God bless. Okay, Ann, have a good evening. And we're about getting ready to wrap it up here in a little while. Now, this Friday, there will not be a paranormal point of view. We skip a week, and it'll be a week from this Friday. And we will have another paranormal point of view. And well, I'll have some maybe movie reviews and books to tell you about that you might want to check out. But will always try not to lead you into bad things, okay? I don't want that. I don't want you to do that. Definitely. And I'm not going to, say, I'm not going to be one of those people that say, do what I tell you to, not what I do kind of thing, okay? Don't want to do that. I say no to Ouija. Just say no to Ouija. See, Duke, that's the thing. Yes, sir. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm glad you all came in tonight, and whoever else may listen to this tonight will get a little something out of it. Anyway, this is what we're talking about. This is the best defense I know against black magic and the dark arts. Okay, there are other things it can do, and we'll talk about that maybe on part 2 whenever we get around to it. And okay, see, Duke, and okay, thank you. Violin Makes Me Cry. I like that name, Violin Makes Me Cry. It kind of can do that, definitely. So anyway, share us out, okay? Artists, share us out, like us. And the more people we get here, the better. We need to tell our friends about it. Say, hey, you might want to listen to some of this and take something away from it, okay? It's good to have. Thank you, Midwest Night Watchers. And put you up there and put a few people up here. And definitely, we're going to have some more shows like this definitely in the future. And I will be having some guests pretty soon. We're going to be lining up some of that stuff in as well. But I'm giving you a lot on these shows, what I do, and a lot of my lectures that I've done in the past. And I've always had a good reception on them, without doubt. And uh, thank you, Millie. And the whole thing is, we're not going to try to lead you astray. We're going to lead you the right way here, okay? And truth will stand forever. Truth is our main bulwark, is our main shield against the darkness, okay? Truth and faith. So let's not lose sight of that. I appreciate you all being here, definitely without doubt. Until the next hunting the shadows. And remember, those shadows are getting darker around us, folks, but there is a light out there, okay? And we look for the light and follow it. That's the main thing, okay? And I appreciate you all being here tonight. And like I said, your family, your not just friends, your family. This is your podcast too, okay? So don't hold back on the feedback. Don't hold back on the questions or observations, whatever you need. If you need any help, you know where I'm at. You can reach me at DennisWCarroll.com, or you can reach me at DennisCarroll@gmail.com. Whatever the situation, I'm here. You are not alone in the shadows. Okay? All right, I'm here. And until we get together again, folks, make sure you keep an eye on those shadows, definitely, and stay safe, stay aware. Carpe noctem, and embrace the mystery. Hunting the shadows.